have an opportunity to be a part of this. I know basketball's semi-important, but it's not near as important as what we were able to do this weekend. And thank you to all of South Carolina, the administration, Coach Martin, and arranging everything. I thought it was really, really good and a lot of value not only for the people we help, but also for our program.
Yeah, same. This weekend was extremely valuable for our team because we got so many guys that are new to all this. Being around his team helped us in many ways that don't include basketball. How we carry ourselves, how we handle ourselves. You know, there's a reason they went to the NCAA tournament. There's a reason they won 10 league games last year. There's a reason why those kids have success. And when we did that event yesterday, all my first-year guys saw a group of guys that have played in the NCAA tournament, sweating, carrying, cleaning, how they conducted themselves. And it was a great example for our first-year guys, that's how things are done. And then obviously playing the games, whether it was yesterday where you guys couldn't watch or today when you did watch, it's hard. It's hard for us, and I'm sorry for the long deal here. It's hard for us to reciprocate how successful players act because we got a lot of new guys, so they're not around it as much. Being around them for the last 2 days has been a tremendous asset that we can use in our locker room moving forward, with everything away from basketball. That's what I'm talking about.
Frank and Buzz, how pleased are you guys with the response, not only from the arena today, but from all the online donations and things of that nature?
Yeah, very pleased. Whatever the numbers are, I'm not aware of them, but I thought the crowd was fantastic. I didn't anticipate we would have as many people travel to support us. That speaks to our group. So anything that we're doing, obviously, I think impacts and helps all of those families. It's probably the best thing the NCAA's done since I've been a head coach.
Yeah, I agree with what Buzz just said. The proximity of the two schools, I think we have many fans that kind of overlap both schools. We did a function before the game upstairs for the folks that donated a certain number and above. And there was two couples where one had a Gamecock shirt, the other one had a Virginia Tech shirt, and it was pretty neat. It's pretty neat, and there's three things that we as coaches are always asking people for: their time, their passion, and their money. Those are the three most valuable things that we have in life: our time, our passion, and our money. And for people to step up and support our thought, basketball, to help others. That means that they gave their time to show up. They gave their passion because they cheered. Actually, usually I don't pay attention to fans, but when they made a run, it was loud. When we made a run, it was loud. So they cheered, and then they obviously gave money. And that's powerful when people do that stuff.
Buzz, what made you want to do this and this in particular?
This is our 9th year of playing one another in the scrimmage, and so we always play on the first Saturday of November. And then when the NCAA allowed this to happen, we were trying to figure out how could we make it happen because we weren't going to give up our scrimmage because of how we go about it and the things that we do on the days that we're able to scrimmage, I believe are unique to what most scrimmages are. So we just had an abbreviated version of that yesterday. And then since we were already here, make it another day. I didn't anticipate that it would end up being as powerful as it has been. Not only the money generated, but everything that we've done has been either together as the programs or together relative to our families. And I think that that's a memory not just our players will have, but the managers, the trainers, our children. And our world seems to go so fast, maybe to pause every now and then and go, no, we're going to do this, and we'll always remember it, and that it was for someone else other than ourselves. I'll always remember it. And so that it's worked out the way that it has. His people have been tremendous in arranging and setting it all up. We just show up whenever Coach says be there. But I think that it's something that we'll always talk about, and it's something that our players, they've never done anything like this. They don't know. And so to be able to do community service together, and they get to play, and they get to scrimmage, and they shared meals together, I just think that maybe that's what life's supposed to be.
With your two friendship and history, how much has there ever been discussion about you two playing each other in a regular season
No, we're
game?
not,
Not going to happen.
because of what you just said.
Because of that
Yeah.
Not
competitive
going to
side?
happen.
Yeah, it's never even been broached, and it never will.
We know our teams will help each other, being around each other when no one's watching, and that's unless he calls me and says, I got a guy looking at you and he's got a red dot on your forehead, sign the contract, I'm not doing it.
Frank, and then Buzz, if you want to answer this as well. I know when there's social issues out there, you're very open about them, Frank. And, just using this week just as an example, with everything going on in the world, there's so much talk, more about talk about it instead of actually being about it. You guys were proactive. You guys did this. You raised a lot of money. Is this something that you talked about with your kids? Obviously, it's an exhibition game, another opportunity to get better before the season. But how much did you talk about them being able to not only use your platform, but being able to use opportunities to actually be proactive?
That's all I talk to my guys about. I people really, like, when I meet with our team, I speak very little basketball with them. I speak basketball when we're out there with gear and we're doing our drills and stuff like that. Whenever we're not on the court, if it's not like a film breakdown that I'm trying to help them with something, I rarely speak basketball to our players. I speak about all that other stuff. And what happens with our guys, which is what happens with most people in today's day and age, this today, yesterday, is real. Social media is phony. And the voices that I'm not going to say the opinions, because a lot of the opinions on social media are real too, but a lot of the voices are not real. This was real. And what I think I try to share with my players all the time is we better understand each other so we can better help one another. And the only way you're going to understand one another is by communicating. Communicating is not just flowing, it's listening. And when you take kids and you make them understand what we did yesterday, and you have a gentleman that runs that building thanking them, like, thank you. You don't know how much this meant to us. You got guys that work there, and they're coming to our guys saying, thank you. You don't know what this means to us. That's real and that's powerful. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of love in our country. There's a lot of people. Every time there's some kind of a disaster, you have all kinds of people that don't look at all. He and I, you read our backgrounds? Two completely different human beings from two different worlds. But we have a lot of the same values because we understand how much people have helped us that look different, speak differently, walk a different path than ours, but they've been able to help us. And because of that, we do what we get to do. We're sitting here, and you guys are asking us questions like what we say is really relevant. When in the real scope of things, we're just two average guys that are trying to help our young guys understand if you do right and you respect people, good things will happen for you. And I don't want to speak for you, but that's kind of my vision of the whole thing there.
I think my tenure as a coach is coming to a close. I tell our players that. I tell my children that because all I care about is all the things that he talked about. I think the things that I used to look at on a scorecard that were really important, those things don't matter at all anymore. And so I spend a lot less time maybe as a coach than I once did. And I spend a lot more time trying to help them grow as people, and not just our players, but anybody within our programs, within our community, within our institution. And so I don't know how much longer I'll coach because I'm not very good at coaching anymore. Because once I get on the floor, I'm like, oh, yeah, I can't quite remember how we used to do this. And so my staff has been outstanding relative to helping me. The only thing that I would say relative to the platform and all of the things socially, I think the problem is that we have a lot of voices on what they're against, and we have very few voices on what are you for. And I think the best thing maybe for me that I spend time talking to our team about, or I'm not smart enough to talk about our country, but I wish there was more about what we were for and standing up for what we were for and doing things like you mentioned in your question. This is what we're for. This is what our actions are for, as opposed to what are we against. Because children are growing up hearing, be against that, be against that, be against that. So, okay, but what am I for? And so I just want to be a proponent of whatever it is, like Coach said. Whatever it is, let's just be for that. And then I think things would be more clear.
Franco, just with the game, how much by design was it keeping Chris and Mike on the bench for a lot of the second half and letting the new guys kind of get out there and run around?
It wasn't by design. I wasn't happy with them. And so why waste an opportunity to teach some freshmen and guys that need experience? I don't know. If you interview them, you got to ask them. I wasn't happy with them.
Buzz, on the basketball front, the fact that Chris played, I assume, does that mean he's good to go? He'll be out there Friday?
No,
or
he
what?
was able to play. It's all doctor-specific stuff. He was able to play.
I'm going to interrupt him.
15
I'm going to
minutes.
interrupt.
We got to play.
No, I'm going to
15
interrupt
minutes.
him. You know why? Because we're at dinner last night, and this is what happens. Like we're good friends. He knows a lot about me that people don't know, and I thought I knew a lot about him that people don't know. He's given up some of the great vices that he had his whole life.
I have zero.
I'm not going to tell you what they are. He's given them up, and it's good for him. But here's what he hasn't given up: his attention to detail. You know what he told me last night at 9 o'clock at night? Chris Clark will play 15 minutes. Have you looked at the stat sheet? 15 minutes. Hey, he didn't play 14 or 60. He played 15. It's unbelievable.
That was what he was allowed to play. We're off tomorrow. His next doctor appointment is on Tuesday. So last Tuesday is when the doctor said that his minutes were 15. So that's good.
So, but does that mean he will not be redshirted and he will be playing this season,
Yeah.
I guess? Or?
Oh, we'll see. I mean, the doctor's still – he's not been fully released.
And Justin, what was his injury today and prognosis?
He's not injured at all. I'm upset with him. I'm disappointed. So I told him he couldn't play, to wear street clothes. And I don't know how long that'll last because I'm disappointed in him. I probably hold Bibbs to too high of a standard, Bibbs and Med, because of how long they've been with us and all that they've done for us. So I'm probably being unfair, but it's just because of the standard that I hold those two guys to. And I think there's a little bit of what Coach is talking about. We've got KJ didn't play last year. Nikhil's never played. Devin didn't play last year. Pig's never played. Beatty's never played. PJ's never played. Nick's never played. And so when Bibbs or Med, who in my opinion, are the cornerstones of what we want to be about, when they don't do right, I probably need to handle it more mature, but I didn't want him to play, and I don't know when he'll play.
Franco, a couple of questions on Corey. Is that the same knee that he had operated on over the summer?
Yeah. He had some soreness during the week, and I mean, if we were playing in a game that counted today, he'd been in uniform. He just,
So you don't expect to linger or anything throughout the season, or?
Dave, anytime you go through a knee injury, I don't know, have you had one? I've had 8 of them. You seen me walk? That, what lingers, and got to manage it. I probably overloaded him too much last week, given the fact that he's coming off that knee surgery deal. But that's why we gave him, he practiced, I don't even know. Did he scrimmage against you guys for a little while?
No, because I was asking. I think he's a good player.
Yeah, he practiced Friday. He
Yeah, but
practiced Friday.
I asked one of your guys, I guess I asked Coach Clark, why is Corey not playing?
Yeah, he practiced Friday, and then we kind of shut him down through the weekend here.
Like you said on Monday, that despite the missed shots, you liked the shot selection, you just didn't make them. What did you think of today's performance from the perimeter?
Yeah, I think we missed some shots, but they had a lot to do with it. We took some good ones. We didn't take bad ones. We got to make some shots. It's just plain and simple. It's hard to get any flow on offense when you can't go through a stretch where you can get 3-4 shots to go for you in a row. And last week we really didn't have that. Today we really didn't have that. I'm happy with the way we're shooting right now. We have to be better with our guards as far as when we drive, our strength and our decision making. We got to be better there. We don't have that 6'6" guard this year that can get in the lane and just jump up oversized and score. So I got to help them, and they got to be a little bit better at that when they decide that they're going to attack.
Buzz, what did you see from your team today that you liked? What did you learn about your team? And as you head into Friday, is not just from the exhibition, but the scrimmages and practices, is that identity of this year's unit starting to form?
Well, the reason that we play coach's team every year is I always think that it's a gauge on how hard we play. Anytime you play coach's team, you're going to have in the first possession, you're going to know where you stand relative to playing hard. We don't play as hard as South Carolina, but I do think that we're in that realm where we're not overwhelmed by their energy. So I was encouraged by that. I don't, we define, was it a bad shot, a good shot, a great shot, a perfect shot? We were not very good with that today. That's somewhat to be expected with so many guys that haven't played. The one thing that we're trying to focus on, as you would know, we've got to be able to finish the possession with a rebound, and they had 20 points on putbacks. And so that has been, and I anticipate defensively will continue to be our Achilles heel. Can we finish the possession with the rebound? We held them to 8 points for a long period of time. They had 8 points on putbacks. And then there was a stretch there in the second half where it was like every fourth possession they were scoring on a putback. Partly it's their physicality and us not matching it, but partly it's not us executing what we have to do in order to finish the possession. And so those would be the two things that I would say offensively and defensively, that whatever our identity is going to be, it'll be a derivative of those two categories. Thank you.